Alright, hello once again YouTube, welcome back to some more From the Depths. We're continuing with the Finest Hour campaign and we're continuing to work on our battleship. It has had some problems, it is over budget, it is certainly overweight. I made the hull way too big, I didn't get the curve quite right. It needed to curve more sharply at the front and back and over a larger distance compared to the whole size of the craft. I actually think the nose might be okay, but the rear especially is big flat empty deck that's not doing anything. I've also made another change. You might notice the nose is no longer sticking up as much. I've put some lead ballast in there. It'll probably still tip up a little bit when we get moving. Yes, I might even need more, but hopefully it'll be a little bit better. Oh no, yeah, it kind of levels out once it's moving. It might be because it stopped moving, but yeah, hopefully that'll help a little bit with the nose being really high up. I've also angle limited the main guns, so they shouldn't have the same issues anymore with not being with rotating part of the way and getting stuck. But it's the main guns we're talking about today because we need to rework their these are still spinning. Are they connected to the Oh, it thinks it's turning with them. What? No. How do we tell it to just angle to 0? I guess we just turn it off. Yeah, these should... Much as it was funny to have these spinning in the last one to make the vine source, obvious vine source joke, we don't actually want those to spin. Hopefully when we load back in, they should be at default angle. Yeah, there we go. Right. Today, we're going to have another look at the shells, because they aren't quite right yet. The gun has a definite problem with that it will quite neatly punch holes through quite a lot of armor. It does fail once it reaches the heavy, and if I'm going to go down the armor piercing route, and I'm not sure if that's the best route or not, if I'm going to go down that route, they have to be able to punch all the way through. As is, they stop once they get to the heavy armor, and that's no good. That means they aren't going to do enough damage for that. Yeah, what are our guns on? Oh, they 400. Sorry, I've got to check that first. 400 they are, okay. So let's see what we could potentially do. So it currently thinks 142,000 thump damage. And then I'm going to write this down on this post-it note so I know what's whether we're making an improvement or not. So 1, 4, 2, 5. Oh, hang on a minute. No, I thought I could hit something else, but apparently not. And then it is plus 20 fragments at 3,000 each. So if we say it's times 10, it'd be what, 35,000 times 2? We said roughly, if we said roughly 210,000-ish damage, from the current shell. So it's 210,000 damage shell that applies most of its damage directly forwards, but some of it spreads out through the hole. So in theory, it should have been rending open quite big holes, but that doesn't seem to work in practice. What could we do that might be better? So if we just tried I don't think this will be better. We just try like a pure high explosive shell. At the same size, and we can certainly go slower. I don't think muzzle velocity is as important as I maybe thought it was. That thinks a 127,000 damage explosion over a 60-meter radius. Oh, that's kinetic damage. 12,000. That's not very good at all. If we did 262, that's probably still fine. That probably still hit. 36,000 explosion over 19 meters. If we just don't save it, we can just apply these shells to the guns and see how they do. APS clear clips, so it starts to load the new ones. They are slow, but again, that's fine. They'll still hit their mark. That is just a pure high HE shell. So if we turn on God mode so we can't be hurt, we'll actually turn off our firing. And movement. Load a Sharn horse. And we'll turn it off. That thing's movement and firing. I said we'll turn off its... Why can't we turn that off? I don't know, but anyway. So let's see what happens when those shells hit. I think they're about to go straight into a hole in the armor, which is interesting. So, verdict. Blast through a layer of the armor. Not very much else. Pure high explosive, bad. Not a good choice. Okay. So, the numbers don't lie. That is a bad shell type. Right. So, we potentially changed it out for a... potentially a Hesh shell, even. I don't know whether the Spaced Armor will protect that. Let's see what a Shape Charge Head looks like first. So, Shape Charge Head changes it to... no kinetic damage, basically. It's a tiny explosion. 38 meters. Use the metric by square root of armor value. Okay. Keep frag count. 24 that do 180,000 damage each. Yikes. Okay. So, we'll have to see how much the, So I did something that isn't... Actually, we'll load in the Sharn because this is... We're testing against equivalent armor. I don't know why I can't tell it to stop firing or stop moving. Is it because it's an enemy? We're in testing mode. That shouldn't stop us. Anyway, right. I want to fire at the hull. We hit our own hull with that one. Come on. Come on, waves. Let's tip that the other way. Yeah, we hit the deck again. Come on. Oh, we're still firing the high explosive rounds, aren't we? We haven't cleared clips. Whoa, what was that? Are we still firing the high explosive rounds? That just blew a massive great hole in it. Unless that was the other guns. Hang on. Outright. APS. Clear clips. Clear clips. And clear clips from the other side. Turn us around so I can see it. I want to hit the actual hull itself so I can test the guns against the heavy armor. I'm still on board, right? We've been waiting for synced weapon. Oh, no shell loaded. Is that shell not valid? Or is it just taking forever to reload? Ship charge. No, they should be loading. They've just been slow. Might just be taking a minute to load. Okay. I'm just kind of surprised there's still no insta-load guns option. Yeah, it's not fast to load. Okay. It should be loading now. So let's see what a gigantic heat round does. That secondary might be about to disappear. Well, not a great example of it because we hit some weird spots. Yeah, looks like the air gap Might be enough to stop them, but we'll try and get a decent shot off at the actual armor itself. Is that one of those shells going underwater? It's probably going to miss, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. That might be the other downside of low velocity guns. The upside is... Oh. I think I got a perfect screenshot of it. Right. So we hit there. Oh! Hello? That not only punched through the hull, that punched through the internal armor, even past the air gap. And one of them kept going and knocked out and damaged the block afterwards. That might be a solution. Okay. So I'll write down POS 1 full heat. So possible answer number 1, a full heat shell. Because they seem to actually be able to do quite a bit, actually. More than I thought they would. That almost completely ignored their armor. Right. Next possible answer. Let's see. Oh, no, not the APS. The shell customizer. Yeah, why I can't... It's like, turn off. I think they've got something turning their AI back on. I don't know why. Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, ammo customizer. There we go. Right. So, the heat round. Good. Does actually quite a horrifying amount of damage. Seems to punch through even air gaps. So, let's try my favourite shell type, actually. One of my favourites. Let's try Hesh. Hesh, similar idea. What it does is, when it hits, the actual round like sort of squashes against the armour, and then it like explodes the back of the armour out inside the space. Theory, quite good against tough armour. So let's give these a try. I rather like Hesh rounds. I haven't used them much recently, but I do like them. Actually, I tell you, like, I have been using them a bit in War Thunder. Actually, I just got the FV, FV 4001 or whatever it's called. Oh, I'm gonna have to wait for ages for this to reload though. Is there definitely no debug thing to fully load impact, teleport, EMP, death ray? There's really no fast load. I don't think there is there? Have any of the shells loaded? No, it's still loading, isn't it? Is this gun synced weirdly? Because it said about waiting for synced weapon. That's not synced to anything. That is synced. Oh, hang on. That's synced to the wrong one. Are these synced to the wrong ones as well? That wouldn't be helping. Synchronization. You shouldn't be synced to anything. Correct. You... Okay, yeah, that wasn't helping. I will actually save the ship. We've got the shells on the vehicle still, so we can afford to lose them. In fact, I think if we delete it and then we reload it, it should have the shells loaded, right? We could skip the wait. Yeah, weaponry and secondaries off. I would turn theirs off, but they don't want to. Right. Those ones will hit almost immediately. These... Are they firing squash? The right shell type? Am I looking at the right guns? I should be. Okay, cool. I should be correct. Okay. That's good. That's looking like it's going to impact about where I'd like it to for the sake of the test. Right. What do we get? Is that damage on the... Oh! That has punched into internals. The air gap has mostly stopped it, but okay. That's potentially working. Let's try and moss direct side on hit if we can. Is that their air gap stopping it there? I think their air gap armor is actually stopping the shells, though, is the only slight problem potentially there. Did anything look like it's punched all the way through? There's damage there. No, it has come through. It has damaged the internals. It's not totally knocked them out, but we have hurt them. I don't know whether we need to potentially try fitting these shells to all guns. I'm going to try them. I'll see if we can save the shell design. If we can, we'll save the shell design for the front guns. Actually, no. We don't need to. They're still saved. They're on the original gun design, aren't they? So I think we can just... I think we just reload that gun if we need it. Can we copy it? Oh. It did make the click. I think we can copy it. It changed the name. It didn't change anything else. Oh dear. Right. Not that it's difficult, mind you. Squash head. HE warhead body. Fill the head of HE warhead body. I think this is the last one we haven't done it to yet. Yep. Effectively, I believe what we're doing here is basically hitting so hard that we ignore the protection from their countermeasures against this kind of shell because we're just firing so many of them. We're firing such a powerful example of the shell that it's not a big enough gap. Can't be certain on that one though. But that's why we're doing this. We'll try loading it into every gun. I like hash rounds personally, so if this works, I'd be happy with that. It's more ammo barrels, that means it's trying to load. No, not S. Pocket battleship. It's fine, we've still got the original turrets, so we can reload the old shells if these don't work. We have godly mode on, so... Yeah, our shells do travel very slow, but there's no countermeasures. We really don't have to worry about that as long as they hit. That was definitely a hit. That was a hit as well. That's punched through into the internals. Yeah. They're still punching through. Whether they're doing much better than the... Oh, look at that. Oh, I think it's got over the top of their anti-ash armor mine, but... I think it's taking more damage more quickly. The real golden medal will be if we can actually punch through something internal and do damage to it. Those look like some good hits. It looked like we had some shots going into existing damage wounds there, or armor gaps. Oh, look at that. Punch through their citadel, punch through into here. Nearly hit their AI with that one, actually. These are doing quite a bit of damage. Oh, look at that. There's a gun turret down. It might just be a lucky shot, but I'd say that's a good sign. Now, whether our own guns will be more vulnerable because they're firing solid shot. But then again, they were still vulnerable, right? Because they had frags on them. They wouldn't be less vulnerable, particularly. They'd be about the same, if anything. Might have a bigger explosion if they go up, but I mean, like, gun turret goes up, it's already taken everything near it with it. Tell you what, I think that's leaving bigger gaps, actually. It is punching... Yeah, I think this is a lot better. This is doing much worse damage on the... It's like the same amount of damage on the outside, but I think the internal damage is much worse, which is... I suppose that perfectly makes sense, really, for Hesh rounds. Not good at stripping the armor, but very good at wreaking havoc once it goes through. Sea bitch falling out. I mean, whether it can keep up this rate of fire enough to actually win is something we'll have to test, and a lot of shots are going high because they're skimming the water, but firing a lot of them. Yeah, the only problem is they're skimming a lot because of the low... I think because of the low shell velocity, it's having to make slightly awkward shots against this thing. So it changes target relatively frequently, so that's helping. The other thing to test this against will be the Nelson itself as well. So to do against that thing's armor, because this isn't even what we'll be fighting. This is just equivalent cost ship. I suppose maybe what it is, now I think about it, is that even if they've got like the anti-heat armor, right? And the anti-heat and Hesh armor, technically, with the air gap. But I suppose the thing is, because the Hesh goes off, it's got enough power that it smashes that secondary layer of armor. So the air gap stops the first blast from going all the way through their armor, but it doesn't save the internals. So I guess the idea is that armor gets knocked out in a hit, and then the next hit smashes the internal armor and starts doing damage behind that. There's a turret there. There's a couple of good turret hits, and that's a turret dead. But it actually targets the turrets as well. Very nasty. I think Hesh is the way to go for the shells. I think they are doing more, but we'll do a test against Nelson without the benefit of armor or the benefit of God mode. Obviously, we've got it turned on for this fight, so this isn't really a fair test either. But again, the fair test isn't a fair fight, sadly. So, sadly for us, anyway. And of course we're moving now, which is an advantage we didn't have in the last fight. Let's screw that up, and our ship wasn't actually going anywhere. Is our ammunition running low, or are we not actually firing slow and I just think we are? Oh, that was a bad blow. Yep, that's killed the bridge. Yeah, the hits to the superstructure are horrifying. They're just absolutely ruining it. The guns can resist fire, but not when they get concentrated on. Like it's happening now. But potentially, if we give it some manual assistance in targeting its guns, we might be able to do it. If we can knock out its guns quickly on the Nelson. Then we can just let it shell away. Okay. Let's try it. I think we're going to win that one. Well, I mean, obviously we're going to win that one. It can't hurt us, but... Oh, ammunition barrels is a problem, though. It's risky expanding the ship's magazine, but we might do that because we are churning through shots. I don't think that we have a great way to do that. I might just make deal with reloading a bit slow. Theoretically, the fight's basically over by the time that becomes an issue. If it's an issue at that point, we weren't going to win anyway, I think. Or rather, if the enemy's ship's not badly damaged at that point, we weren't going to win anyway. Right. HMS. Nelson. Coming in. Hot, but not very fast. I mean, our shells. Right. They fired way over. That was terrible. What are you guys aiming for? The mast? What are you guys? Are they aiming for the mast? Don't tell me they're aim point spoofing with a tiny little mast like that. Come on. No, they're not. I don't know what happened there. It just decided to put 2 shots into its masts. Right. That was the armor on the guns. That was a good spot. Any internal damage? Yes. Yeah, there is internal damage. Not to the guns themselves, but the shielding around the guns has failed partially already. Actually, this thing doesn't have hair shielding. At least not on all of it. Does it have it in general? No, it just has multiple layers of armor, I think. That's it. No, it does have some. It does have some, actually, but it's right at the front. Well, at least off the bat, out-damaging it. We did lose a gun turret almost immediately in the last fight, which was a bit of bad luck, honestly. Partly bad luck, partly armor, and the potency of that thing's guns. We're not doing too bad, though, especially now we're moving. Look at that, yeah. The hits we're getting are messing them up. It's shredding their internal armor. That one's got through to the gun's internal armor, almost. I swear we're firing faster than we were. I don't know if it's just because all the guns are on target this time. Let's have a quick pause and have a look at our ship, see how our armor's holding up. Are we doing okay? Are all of our guns still working? Primary gun's still working, secondary still working. We're not taking anywhere near as much damage this time. Although, have we stopped firing our explosive rounds? Because that's a bit awkward if we have. We're definitely not going to kill them without the main guns firing. Our main guns have stopped firing. Why? Oh no, there they go. Is it a range issue? Oh, we've knocked out one of their guns, I think. I don't think it's exploded, but I think the barrels are ruined. That was a very good barrage. Any internal major damage there? No, just sort of peppering empty rooms, really. Well, lower down. Much there, a little bit there. Yeah, at the moment we're just opening holes in them. But we have knocked out one of their front weapons. Oh, yeah, this reminds me, actually. This is something someone brought up in the comments, actually. Someone mentioned that... this is... So, way back with the Megalodon, you guys remember when we tried to build something to fight that? Do you remember how the flagship did okay in testing, but it ultimately lost pretty badly in the real campaign? Someone pointed out, we had the difficulty cranked up. We were doing reduced damage. It's entirely possible the flagship actually can take a Megalodon in a one-on-one fight, or at least do a lot better than it did. And it just didn't, because the game was just making it do less damage because of the difficulty we were on. I totally forgot about that. So yeah, that actually might be why we struggled. Or why, in general, some of our craft struggled against things they did okay against the testing, because we just weren't hitting them as hard. So yeah, that was an interesting thing to discover. Oh, took out one of their secondaries. Oh, that one did a lot of damage, actually. We take quite a bit now. Have we lost a major gun turret? We have lost the rear gun turret. That's not so good. We are at reduced firepower now, but... we are doing a lot better. I would argue this is a lot closer to what I was hoping for. In fact, we are actually... though I don't know if we'll win the entire fight, we are outright technically winning at the moment. We are out-damaging them, at least. Because each gun turret we lose quite drastically reduces our firepower, but they've lost some too. They're down to 2 primary guns. In fact, we could obviously also improve our own ship's aim by firing on their gun. but I don't know if we can do it at the moment, so I think our bridge is knocked out. Yeah, bridge is ruined, but that doesn't really mean much. It's pretty much aesthetic, I'm assuming. This thing, even in this state, still costs more than our ship, though. What's left of our main guns? Did we lose any of them yet? No, they're still up. They're still firing. Speaking of, there goes another shell. I tell them to, like, target that?
Engaging now.
Not especially, it's just targeting the main gun. Oh, we took a lot of damage. Did we lose the... The gun was damaged, but one barrel is still firing. Because the shells skim, they're actually still hitting. That might be a loss, but that might not have been with support. I think that is a lot better. We are probably going to sink. I think we can hit him at this point. No, our shells are just dropping. Let us, before we end this episode, quickly test it with a cruiser in support. I reckon we've got enough resources to get a cruiser into support with this thing, so with the two, let's see how we do. Oh dear, I inadvertently rhymed. Oh yeah, we also need to decorate the battleship still, because of course this thing is a lot prettier looking at the moment. Right. Say we start at... Hello. That far out. Nelson. A little look how we do. We have supporting fire and we have torpedoes. In addition. Not just the improved guns. And something that potentially draw fire as well. Because the battleship also doesn't have its self-repair systems. It's not going to have many, because like I say, I don't want to go mad with them, but it will have, I think it was 4 I said for battleships. Was it 8? 6? I can't remember. Maybe 6. They have a tiny bit of ability to self-repair. That won't save it from those guns in full combat, but... Cruiser wheeling. As it is wont to do. Look at that. I like the way the guns are splitting fire. Okay, admittedly we got in behind it because the angle was weird, but not gonna lie, it's doing okay. Got any torps in the water at the moment? Well, I can see. Oh, battleship's taking a lot of damage. I think we've lost the gun turret again. Oh. Helpful I'm actually on the battleship to check. It did. That's the number 2 turret. Interesting. Usually the rear, but... You can tell when it does that, because it loses about 5% health. Here come the torps. Adding to the pressure it's taking from the guns. Pressure it's under, I suppose I should say. Of course, we'll also have friendly aircraft. Yeah, say for the sake of simulation. Oh look, enough damage has happened. The bomber can spawn, for example. And then let's spawn, say, I don't know, medium bomber. So we've got one of those in the area. Just last any time at all? Does it get any hits off, or does it get shot down by the anti-air? Does the Nelson really even have any anti-air? Or is any of it still functioning at this point, for that matter? How dangerous are these bombs to it? I think they're going to hit. It's a huge target. Did we do a bombing run on it? We did do a bombing run on it, didn't we? I seem to remember that now. Good hit on the turret, but the armor's deflected the actual damage. We're still firing some Hesh rounds. That is Hesh rounds. Is our main forward gun still working? One barrel. The rear gun is working, but we're at the wrong angle because we're chasing it. Yeah, I think the problem is our slow speed there. Our bomber is pootling about above. Second bombing run. Either it doesn't have much AA, or it's being distracted targeting the flagship, so air attacks also definitely seems to be something we should absolutely have against this thing. If it's also the aircraft that sink it and the cruiser and the battleship are just providing relatively cover for it, that's also fine. Third bombing run. It doesn't look like the bombs are doing anything against the turrets, but is that because they're... Is it because their armor is fake and it's not actually what's being damaged? It is. It's heavy armor underneath. Okay. I'm sorry? Railguns? No, I'm sorry. What? Railguns? Oh, come on. Oh, no wonder we're struggling to outdamage this thing. They're using railguns? That's not the spirit of things at all. Okay, the lift propellers I could forgive. The railguns I am not so sure about. That very much does not feel in the spirit of things. I could get the idea, it's to make the guns more powerful for their size, but come on. Oh, the bomber's starting to take fire now. Okay, so we have to fight off electromagnetic munitions now, apparently. Christ, no wonder they can punch through so much armor. They're getting magnetic assist. The bomber might get shot down now, but it's dropped another run. And no wonder the turrets aren't exploding. They're probably all solid shot. Right, do we have damaged the barrels? That might even be due to the bomb hit specifically. I'm gonna wait until I see one fire and take a look at what they're firing. Are they firing some kind of rail-assisted round? Oh, no, they are dual armor-piercing HE, but... Crikey, railguns, come on. This is meant to be World War II era, isn't it? I know they're built to, like, match NETA designs of equivalent cost, but this very much feels off-theme. What's left working on the battleship? The two main guns are still working. Half of them are still working each. You know, I think we have a few bombers. This might be doable, though. I think, especially if they're right off the bat. Because their AA doesn't really seem to be good enough to focus on it on its own. I mean, heck, I think we did do reasonable damage to it with our light bomber attack, and these are heavier. Medium bombers are a lot better at getting shots on target, especially one as large as the Nelson, because it does have a very large deck. Okay. I think we will call that acceptable performance for the battleship. I know it's got help in this fight. I think they'll actually win here. And this is not at all an unreasonable escort that we might have with it for the actual showdown with this thing. That is exactly the sort of escort I'm planning to try and take with it, and more bombers than just the one. Yeah, the majority of its main guns are knocked out. The other one looks like it's locked in angle. The rear end is completely ruined and sinking. I think we'll be okay. So we'll call that good enough for the battleship. So in the next episode, I'll finish it. We'll actually wrap up the decorating, we'll consider it done, and we'll get back to the campaign, because I enjoy building, but it's been a while since we've done an actual full combat episode. But yeah, I think... Well, first of all, I think... I don't like there being railguns here at all. I had completely sworn those off as even an option, because it completely didn't feel in this spirit of things. Discovering that they are using them seems just wrong. Like, no, I'm not even going to say that maybe that's the only way they could make the guns match, because it's clearly not, because we've got massively more powerful guns, and we're on a smaller, less expensive ship that isn't using them. That also explains why the reactors were so overbuilt on a lot of these ships. I was wondering about that. A lot of them have much bigger engines than they look like they need. Yeah, so I guess on our future ships we can consider railguns fair play. Yeah, we sunk it. That's good at least. So yeah, maybe we'll consider doing that for a full battleship if railguns are apparently okay. Why not use them, I guess? But I don't know, man. I might even just stick with not using them. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. We'll get this ship finally finished next time. We'll get it actually into the campaign. It'd be nice to actually get back to that. And yeah, see you guys in the next one. Goodbye. Oh yeah, and good riddance to you.